Okay. Gold medal. Team USA got it for the fifth straight time. 98-87 final. Team USA beats France. And just going to wrap this up because been covering the Olympics. I feel like it would have been dumb not to do some sort of post game thing after all this has taken place. So, Team USA, great effort against France, who hung in the game for longer than I thought they would, given that they shot very poorly from the field. Um, Comments, questions, things of that nature are always welcome. And obviously, subscribe youtube.com/Bryan Fonseca. This game, I thought that France would have needed to shoot well to have a shot. They didn't shoot well really at all. Like there were spurts late where you felt like the 3-point shooting was going to come along. And to their credit, they were basically 3 for 16 or 3 for 19. I'm forgetting at halftime. They ended up making 6 of their last 11 or 14 3-point shots. Regardless, it's going to be a really good percentage if you just do the math there. The 6 for 11 would be, above 50%, obviously. And they missed their last couple and things of that nature. So it was an amazing, amazing, amazing basketball game. This is why I tell people I love international basketball. Like, I love it. Ben, thank you for the comment. That was electric. I agree. Just spoke about that real briefly. Okay, so on this game, because my thoughts are kind of all over the place, right? Going into this, did not think France could survive, as I was just talking about, without the shooting. And they shoot 9 for 30. They beat Germany before this game. I still think Germany is a better team, and I thought that they would have matched up better with Team USA in this final, and they end up losing to Serbia in the bronze medal game because offensively they can just do a little bit more, it felt like. And as it relates to this particular contest, like you kind of saw that in spurts. Like France struggled in terms of creating the offense, in terms of getting really good looks. And I'm about to bring somebody in here in a second to join me for about 15 minutes or so. All I'm doing is a quick 15, 20. Friend of the show also. So France, in terms of creating offense, has been struggling to do this for 2 years, as I've been saying leading up to this contest. They have not had a clean offense really since Eurobasket in 2022. Victor Wembanyama emerges. That obviously helps, but even he still needs to improve on shot selection and overall just clunkiness and things of that nature. But obviously, Victor Wembanyama is going to be a sensational player and is already super, super talented. France, despite not being able to generate like the cleanest offense in this game, they're able to just out hustle Team USA at times, which is what, you have to do that when you're so much less talented than your opposition. This is where Gershon Yabusele and Matthias Liesort come into play, and where I thought they'd come into play most effectively. Rudy Gobert, who will probably be a storyline going into the NBA season. No joke. He'll probably be a storyline going into the NBA season coming from this. And he plays sparingly down the stretch of the last few games, basically since France gets into the quarterfinals and goes on this run, which is, this is much better of a finish than they had even a year ago at the World Cup, where for people who forgotten or didn't remember, France lost in the World Cup very early last year, lost by 30 to Canada, lost to Latvia. It was over after they were projected to be second favorite. I'm going to bring my guy Gerard Hector in here to just quickly react to this. Gerard, just talking about like France's offensive struggles and in general, still being able to compete in this game despite that, which is a big thing to me, and being able to hustle. We're going to talk about Team USA in a second, but I guess what were your main takeaways for France before we transition to the winners, the gold medal winners here? I thought they achieved a little bit.
France's, for lack of a better term, other guys, right? Their willingness to take the fight to Team USA and play, you might argue, even above their skill set, right? Like every time DeColo caught Steph on a switch, he's like, I'm putting it up. Like, may go in, may not. I don't care. I'm going to attack him off the bounce, put the shot up. He got a little sliver of daylight, shot it in. Obviously, we know what how do I say his last name?
Yabusele or
Yabusele. Yeah. I mean,
Former
of course,
Celtic.
yes, a first round draft pick of the Celtics, by the way, in 2017.
Yeah.
He came to fight. They just don't have enough guys who can score consistently. And ultimately, when you're playing a team like the United States, you need enough guys who can do that. But I was more than impressed. Let me tell you something, B. Like the way Wemby was so upset at the end of that game.
Yes.
Like this dude cares so much about basketball and being good. Like I said this in our chat. Lord help us when that shot gets consistent because it is lights out.
When the shot selection improves also.
Yes.
That's the other thing. I thought some of the threes or a couple of the threes were ill-advised, but I mean, he shot well from three. He was 3 for 8. And this is something going into the contest. Like he was in the 20s in terms of 3-point percentage for the Olympics. So, I mean, Wemby, and the other thing is, you feel this if you're France because like, when are you going to host another Olympics? There's so many other countries in the world that have the facilities, have the money that are going to want to do this. It's coming to Los Angeles 4 years from now. And then after that, we don't really know yet, but I'm sure Greece is going to want to come back around. Spain may want one. So this could have been their shot to do it at home. But at the same time, if Wemby's going to get better, Bilal Coulibaly is going to get better. Some of these other guys are going to age out. We'll see where Fournier is, Nando De Colo. Like this kind of feels like in some
Gobert will be done. Yeah.
This kind of feels like it was their shot, like those guys. But now Wemby and Bilal Coulibaly, we'll see.
That's the next era of France.
We'll see where Sarr is. We'll see where Richeshay is and things of that nature. Okay, Team USA. I mean, we kind of have to start with Steph.
17 of 27 his last 2 games, the semifinals and finals from 3, which is just what is that, 67? Absurd is what it is.
By the way, on the ticker below, follow Gerard on Twitter. He's great.
Appreciate that.
One of my favorite people to do stuff
Thank
with.
You, man.
I was able to drag him in here last minute.
Last minute, I'm like, I can't not talk about it, but I got a tight timeline.
Yeah.
Look, Steph was great, man. Like he did what Steph does, and a lot of the talk was doing it on the floor with those guys, right? With LeBron and KD on the floor, it's like, the talk is the alpha of all the alphas. I don't buy any of that nonsense. It's a matter of these guys are smart enough. And the thing that these guys don't get a lot of credit for, all the Team USA guys, but those 3 guys in particular,
right?
KD, Steph, Bron, they are among the highest basketball IQ dudes that exist that have ever played this game. They know, chef's cooking, cool. Just get him the ball. We're straight. You know what I mean? It's all it is. It's simple. They'll all tell you. They'll be like, Steph was hot. We get him the ball, right? And that is the thing that Team USA has, Bryan, that, not many other teams in this tournament have, right? And they don't have just one. They got a plethora of dudes. It's like, let them do the work. And that's what makes them so hard to beat. Now, look, it still requires one of those guys to go heroic because this is FIBA. It's 40 minutes, not 48, right? Is different, and there's different rules, right? You saw they all got mad when Wemby fouled up his own shot. They're like, no, it's FIBA, guys. Of course you can do that, right?
And he's 7'4", so it looks even crazier,
right? You're just like
maybe 7'5", depending on where you read the site.
Wemby is he's ridiculous, and so it was an impressive Steph showing, and he turned to the crowd and said, "Don't you worry about me." And it's like nobody was worried, Steph. Like I mean, basketball Twitter likes to freak out and lose their minds, like, oh, Steph hasn't had a Steph game yet. I'm like, guys. It's an Olympic tournament. It's if they win all their group games and play, it's six games, right? 3 in the group, and
it used to be 8.
It's 6 games. I'm like, guys, he will have at least one very good shooting game, and he had 2. Like it's the law. It's the law of averages. It's going to work itself out eventually.
That's the thing with me for this is, first of all, he had 8 threes. I think he had 9 against Serbia. He may have led the team in scoring. I have to check. Like for the entire tournament,
he might
despite the
slow start.
That's important for some of us out there. Wink, wink. But he has 24. He has the 8 threes. I was one of the people, not saying is it not going to happen, but we're kind of waiting for the Steph moment in the Olympics because, and as somebody who watches international basketball, you pay attention to international basketball also. It's like he works in this style of play.
Oh, for sure.
Like you just know that. And there are 3-point specialists, and Steph is obviously much better than that because he can do a lot more. Here, in this tournament, it was like, all right, when is the other shoe going to drop, and when is he going to be able to have the Steph game?
Mm-hmm.
And he does it both times when they need it the most.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The only two close games they have, and we can still call this a close game, even though it finished 11-point game. But this is just like, this is going to be the long lasting image for me, I guess, is maybe that very last three where he's double covered, he just throws up,
Throws it
like
up.
it looks like a Hail Mary. And I'm like in the air, and I've done this with Steph, like since he was at Davidson. I'm like in the air, I'm like, no fucking way, no fucking way.
Yep.
And this is good.
Yep.
Steph is amazing. And to me, this entire experience revolved around Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. This is about those three. This is likely their last run when they have the inevitable LeBron James, Maverick Carter produced documentary on Netflix about this team that I keep referencing this because I really think it's going to be a thing.
Yep.
Those are the three that this is going to be built around, and they're going to
Yes.
be talking the most. And Ant will probably be anointed along the way. And Doc is like,
right,
oh,
he's next. He's coming.
Yeah, he's the next face of this.
I mean, Brian, these are the three players who define the NBA over the last 20 years, right? These are the three dudes. No matter what metric you look at, whether it be championships, MVPs, whatever, those are the three players that have defined the last 2 decades of basketball. They are the three players who are probably the most searched when it comes to NBA players over the last 20 years. And I know this for a fact in the NBA. On ESPN, stories that get clicked on, it's Steph, LeBron, and KD. Like that, right? Those are the stories that get people, that get eyeballs, because those are the names that casual people who don't watch this stuff all the time. Oh yeah, I heard of those three dudes, right? And they were incredible. Back to the game though, Brian. What I will say too is, Coach Thorpe and I talked about this on True Hoop. The recipe to beating Team USA was have them turn the ball over, which they did a ton, right? And you, on the other hand, shoot well from three. Now, France did not do the second part. They got the first part right. Had they been able to connect on three a little bit more, and they were, I don't know what their final numbers were. I should pull them up right now. They were 9 of 30. So, I mean, Brian, and they got outscored 18. Team USA was 18 of 36 from three. If France makes 12 threes, just three more. I mean, now, because that was our goal. Team USA turns the ball over, so you get more possessions, which France did, and you get the game tight within the last 2 to 3 minutes. Then you have and that's essentially what it was without shooting the three well, right? France, they had it close, but their problem was if it wasn't going to be Wembanyama scoring, who was it? They had nothing. They had nothing else to go to.
I wasn't sure that France could get to 87 points without shooting threes well. And this has been a struggle because, like, during this tournament before this, they were like 32% for the tournament from three. And I'm like, man, like the formula, like with Serbia, I can see the roadmap because it's like, all right, they shot 40% in Eurobasket. They shot 38% in the World Cup. They're shooting 32% in this tournament. There's going to be a game where that goes above that. And they were 50% for 3 quarters, and then they missed every three in the fourth quarter. And there's your ball game. Like that is what it is. Germany, I thought, was going to be a tougher matchup for Team USA than even France if they were to face each other. Because one, I think Germany's more complete team can beat you in a myriad of ways, different ways. And they show that in the World Cup. And honestly, they show that in this Olympic run again. And they're a better shooting team. That's the other piece of it, even though Franz Wagner, has his struggles from there. But in this game, like, I mean, Durant, LeBron, Steph did what they were supposed to do. Also, shout out Devin Booker because during this run, like, he is maybe their next most important player
on both ends of the floor. Brian, his on-ball pressure on defense. Again, see, we know this because we watch a ton of basketball. When you pressure out high early, that takes time off the shot clock, which forces you to rush late. Oh crap, we didn't get into our action sooner. People don't realize that, right? And there's some stat out there that delaying a team in their first action, if they get into that first action, that first screen, whatever it's going to be, the later in the shot clock, the higher percentage the defense has of winning that possession. And that's ultimately what you want to do. You don't want to just be out here, just put your hands down. All right, let them get into their set. No, pressure them. Even if they still get into their set, you're making them work to get to it. And now they're late. And now they got to rush. Now they're off balance. Like, this is all you're doing. It's a million possessions in a basketball game. And you're trying to figure out, how do I win each one? That's all. It's all it is. How do I win each one? And one of the ways you do that is by playing pressure defense. Book was great. He was excellent offensively. Durant had some really good defensive moments as well tonight. LeBron, I mean, AD was incredible off the bench defensively. Again, and that's a big part of why this team won the gold medal. As much as Steph's heroics mattered in that fourth quarter against Serbia, lockdown right on defense, and same late in this game. Excellent defensive possessions, and ultimately, that's another way you win possessions and win ball games.
Okay, I guess we could spend a couple minutes on what we thought of the role players, and then we'll spend a couple minutes on perhaps the future, because there's 5 straight Olympics and dynasties end, but
they do.
This one may or may not. We'll see. The women's one might not end tomorrow, and it looks like they're going to get 8 straight. Role players.
Agent Stewie. Woo, look out.
Role players, as we said, like Ant only played 9 minutes in this game, had 8 points, but he seems like he's going to be a fixture in this program because he's already been in the World Cup. He's been here. Moving forward, I think he's going to be like one of their main guys here. Jayson Tatum played 11 minutes. I don't know why. I'm going to be honest with you. Like
because Steve didn't want to hear no crap about why Tatum didn't play. So he played him and it was like, oh, not great. Okay, well, that's why I don't play him. And he took him off.
It's not to really knock Jayson Tatum. Like he's a great basketball player, but fit-wise on this team, and this was my case. This is what I was talking about the entire time. It's like, and Derek White didn't play today, but Derek White and Drew Holiday are your defensive guards, who are maybe the 2 best perimeter defenders in the NBA,
who could also shoot 40% from 3.
So that's why you play them. Steph Curry is Steph Curry. LeBron is LeBron. Kevin Durant's Kevin Durant. That's 5. Bam, Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis. Not in that order necessarily, but those are your bigs. That's 3 more. That's 8 people, right? And then from there, you have Devin Booker and Anthony Edwards, who were just playing better than Jayson Tatum this entire tournament.
Correct.
So that leaves you with Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton. And Tatum coming into this game was last in field goal percentage, last in 3-point percentage, and he would play roughly 20 minutes a game in the games that he did play. And like the efficiency was bottom 4 on the team also. And it's like, Bam doesn't score a ton, but we know what he can do defensively. Right. That's why he's out there. And he also he's an excellent complementary player because he doesn't need the ball to play basketball.
And when he gets it, it doesn't stick in his hands like it does with Tatum.
Right. It continues to move. Anthony Davis, he can be a lob threat if you just want him to be a lob threat. And he could also like really defend the paint better than most in the world. Like, so to me, the Tatum thing was like, I know people shit on Steve Kerr, but like, I kind of get it. Like from a basketball standpoint, like, I kind of get what he's seeing. And honestly, if Tatum were just playing better, I think he would have played more.
For sure. Yeah, look, it's tough in FIBA to get into a rhythm because it's not, again, people think, oh, it's 10, 12 minutes from 10. No, that matters. And when you are used to, think about it, all these guys on this team are the alphas or alpha 1s or alpha A's on their team, right?
Yeah.
They play the whole first quarter. They get X amount of touches. Like, that's just not in this. There is no. Like, the ball's going to move. You're not getting 20 shots a game. No, man. Like, and that's hard for certain players to kind of wrap their minds around. And if you're not doing other things, well, then what's the point of having you out there, right? So in that way, Tatum's skill set was over duplicative, right? Because you already have Kevin Durant and LeBron and all these wings that can do that. It's like, I don't, and Jayson Tatum and Ant, like, it's fine, right? Tatum wasn't doing enough of the other stuff, not enough rebounding, not enough defending, not enough, right? All things I talked about, winning possessions in other ways. Scoring, I know scoring's the sexy thing, and that's what we all love, but there are a million other ways to help your team win basketball games. Scoring ain't working, and you're not going to get that because you're on Team USA. Do everything else, and he wasn't doing everything else well enough. That's why Derek White and Drew Holiday are on this team, because they do everything else.
Yeah, you can't have 5 guys out there who need the ball. That's just this is not going to work.
No.
And when you get there, it's not like he wasn't necessarily providing them things that they needed.
Correct.
Right, like they were getting the scoring anyway, so it kind of didn't matter. And then with Joel Embiid, he started. They poached him from France. Listen, everyone gave a lot of credit to Joel Embiid for last game, and to his credit, he did. He had some moments against Nikola Jokic, who was in foul trouble, but he took advantage of that and was able to play really well. It's kind of the only moment that he's really had. He had pretty good games against small ass Brazil and small ass Puerto Rico, and in this game, like, it looked bad in the first shift.
I mean, Wemby caught him with a hezzy at the top of the key. I was like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, and when he started drawing fouls in the third quarter, it looked a little better. But then Steve Kerr decided to shelve him. And this is another example of kind of like, listen, like, you kind of can't have a center who's just going to like need the ball all the time. I thought Joel Embiid did some things defensively
Yes.
at times in this
Mhm.
tournament run where it was like, okay, like that's what you should be doing. But then there were other times where like Wemby would just get around him or somebody
Mhm.
else like would just score on him or whatever, and it wasn't perfect. And I've already talked about why people from France are booing them. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
getting citizenship is hard, and you got one, and
Right.
you still decided to play for Team USA.
I
So
mean,
like,
and
I
also
get why they're pissed.
and let's be honest, Joel's a troll, and
Yeah.
and right. I mean, like he loves to do stuff like that, his DX celebrations and all that stuff. Like that's just who that dude is. But again, his style, to your point, Bryan, does not fit. Right? He is a plotting center. Team USA is at its best on defending and getting out in transition. Well, you can't get out in transition with Embiid because he ain't running. Right? It's only 4 guys that cross half court. He is not going to be the 5th, and so AD is much better in that spot. And when they want to go ultra small, right, they go Durant and LeBron at the 4-5, right? Like, so it works itself out, and you have the shooting and the space you need. And again, FIBA rules, right? Like you want that kind of space and that big man that can step out and like really get up and down. And Wemby does it better than Embiid does right now for France, right? And so
Yeah.
as you see, Gobert didn't play late down the stretch for them either, right? For that exact reason, right? Because they're like, no, we got to get out and get in transition here, get in unsettled situations. And when you have big plotting guys, it makes it more difficult to do that.
Okay, we'll spend 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 5 tops on this, and then we'll get out of here.
Yep.
What does this team look like in 2028? Because this is going to be in LA. This is the whole storyline for this was they brought their guys, and they didn't bring all of them because, like, Kawhi Leonard obviously had to back out. What a
Paul
surprise.
George and all that. Yep.
Paul George, Jimmy Butler, who probably, as Ethan Skolnick jokes, probably doesn't even know the Olympics is on.
Right. Plus, they're all old. Like this guy, like everybody who no more dudes over 33 years of age. I'm sorry. Like done. Like stop. Enough of this. Like it's enough.
So I wonder what this team is going to look like, because we've been hearing that the world is catching up. I've been saying that the world is here, which we've seen. Look at these last 2 games. Like the world is here. Team USA had their guys and they scraped by Serbia, and they shot 50% in this game against France. I'm not going to overlook that. That's like, was it 20 percentage points better than what France did, or whatever the case may be?
With the greatest shooter ever.
Yeah, like it took a lot to get these 2. This is not what it was before. And these guys from Europe especially, but also South America, Africa, are going to, and Australia are going to continue to get better. Asia are going to continue to get better over these next 4 years. And they're going to have much better teams going forward. So not than Team USA, but just in general than we've seen, right? And I wonder what the team is going to look like. Like, I know we're expecting Cooper Flag to be really good. Something tells me they might try to make him a face of that team.
I mean, we know why that's going to be.
But like,
it is the right reason to do that. Sorry.
It's a joke, y'all.
Joking.
Yeah. I do feel like that's going to be more of like, not a rebuilding team, but I do think they're going to skew young. I don't think Kerr's going to be back either.
No, Kerr's done. Bryan, it's something we talked about in the chat. What they need to do is think about it from a team construction standpoint, because what they've gotten into the last few years is still, let's just get our 12 best guys and roll out. And that was the problem that caused them to lose in 2004 in Athens, right? Well, let's just pick 12 awesome dudes and just roll up and see what happens. Well, no, because if you have 12 dudes that all need the ball, that doesn't work. At most, to me, and the roster size is 12, yes? So
yes, have
like 4 of those like alpha dudes, right? 2 who start, 2 come off the bench. The rest of your, and whatever positions you think they need to be, whether that's big man, wing, whatever. And maybe even do a little bit of both. You do a guard, big man combo, maybe do a wing and something else combo for your bench unit. The rest of the roster, Bryan, has to be elite NBA players, but who are elite at playing roles, rebounding, screening, shooting open, all those people who don't let the ball stick in their hands, like all those kinds of things. That's what you need. And again, it's going to get NBA Twitter mad because they're going to be like, oh my God, how did you leave X player home and Y player home? And it's like, because we don't need 5 dudes who want to do step back, hezzy, pull up like that. We don't need all that. Like, that's not who can rebound, who can screen, who can box out, who can help us win possessions. Like, we already got 4 dudes that can do all that fancy shit.
Yeah.
We need the other stuff. And I think they have to plan How do I build a roster like that? Now, Bam, this is already Olympic gold number 2 or 3 for him.
2.
He may not want to come back, but he's the perfect kind of guy I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So whether you have John Morant and whomever and whatever, the rest have got to be those kinds of players. And Bryan, it has to be a 4-year commitment. Now, look, I know that it's hard to do because you go late in the playoffs, you get injured. Like, there's a million other reasons why that's hard. But the reason why you want a 4-year commitment is that the same team plays together in the FIBA Americas tournament, in the World Cup, and in the Olympics. So, because part of Team USA's problem is, as good as those guys are, late in games, they all revert to what they do at their home club, right? And it's like, no. You don't got to do what you do at your home club. If Steph's cooking, everybody else do the other stuff. If Bron's cooking, whatever. If KD's cooking, but everybody's like, no, and they just stand around. And it's like, no, guys, but those role player guys, Bam, etc., they won't be standing around. They're going to be moving, screening hard, doing all the various things so that the other team can't key in. That, to me, is what I would do if I were building out Team USA. Now, again, that's hard because most of these guys don't want to commit 4 years. So, like, I don't know what I'm doing in 4 years. But to me, that if you want to consistently be good, because while we can't claim the best player in the world anymore, meaning Jokic, whatever, my point is, it's not a foregone conclusion that America has the best player in the world. What we still, though, have is our depth is unmatched, right?
Yeah.
We still have the best 2 through 10, right? Because we're so good. But let's make them the right 2 through 10 that fit together well. And to me, it starts with youth. So I would go young guys.
Yeah. Great gold medal this year. I do think like this next one's going to be interesting because it's going to be a younger team, I feel like. And yeah, it's going to look different. Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton. We'll see where Jalen Brunson is in his career at that point.
He's going to be 30, 28, 31. I mean,
so will Bam, by the way.
That's true.
Like if you look at some of these other dudes, Trae Young, are they going to take a shot on that after,
you better surround him with tons of defense. Tons of defense. Because they're going to target the hell out of that dude.
We'll see how good Cooper Flag is going to be. Some other young players will come across. I don't get the sense Jaylen Brown will be part of this necessarily. That doesn't seem like a relationship scrape.
Shout out Nike.
To your point though, like in moving forward, the AmeriCup is next year. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but next year is the regional tournament. So Eurobasket is next year, Asia Cup, Afrobasket, and FIBA AmeriCup. That's all next year. And then in 2027, you're going to have the FIBA World Cup, and in 2028, we'll be back in the Olympics. So this is important because Coach K actually implemented this kind of system. And let me read you some of the names that he had in the AmeriCup, which was the FIBA Americas Championship then in 2007, and they won gold like going away. But he had in the AmeriCup, not the World Cup and not the Olympics. And this is why I say every international tournament matters, because you should care about all this shit. They had a system, and they had LeBron James was part of that team. This is young LeBron James he was already like MVP contender type of dude. And had brought the Cavs to the finals already. Jason Kidd was on that team. He was in year 13 of his career going into year 14. He was still on that team. Darren Williams, Chauncey Billups, Michael Redd, Tayshaun Prince, Kobe Bryant was on this team. Kobe Bryant was playing in the AmeriCup more than 10 years into his career. Dwight Howard, Amari Stoudemire, then you have Mike Miller, Tyson Chandler, and, Carmelo Anthony, no big deal. In the prime, entering the prime of his career. So like that's a real system that they had there, and that paid off because it set a new standard. 2008 is I guess a top 3 or 2 collection of talent that I think Team USA has had in my lifetime. And the dream team will be the other. And this is second or third. I feel like most people would say. Some people would say first even. I
mean, they're excellent. I mean, the talent on the team is amazing.
Yeah. So so moving forward, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Closing thoughts. Do we have anything else we should touch on as it relates to this gold medal experience?
Look, I think when the rest of the world being good at basketball is good for everybody. Like, this is what we want. We don't want it to be 40-point blowouts every game. Like, that's not exciting. The reason why you're all glued to your TV is because you're like, wait, we might lose this game, right? That's what you want. You want this, and we want Team USA to maybe get upset one time. You're like, oh, like. Because listen, what happened in 2004 is what spurred this run of 5 straight gold medals, right? So this is the kind of thing we want to have happen. And I know I was like, I'll get all the young guys. Yes, young guys, but do a mix, right? Have some guys, some veteran guys on the team who've done this is their second or third Olympics, whatever. Not the old dudes, but maybe Tatum comes back, maybe Bam comes back, right? You just get some guys who have that experience to settle them down. Like, guys, it's international ball. Here's how it goes. You'll be fine. Stick to what you know, right? And again, have that system that we talked about implemented where everybody plays all those tournaments up to the Olympics. I think you'll have a much better showing come the Olympics.
A little bit of a different Team USA roster, but they did lose in group play against France in the Olympics a few years ago. I don't think a lot of people remember that because the Olympics, it was weird. It was COVID. I don't think it got the attention that it probably should have. And they barely beat France in that gold medal game. That one was actually closer than this one.
You need to Kevin Durant heroics in that game.
Yeah, and this was a better France team, and this was a better Team USA, and we got it again. So we'll see what happens in 2028. That's Gerard Hector. Subscribe to True Hoop Podcast. He's on there pretty much all the time. Follow him at JS Hector. Follow me on Twitter. And also, programming note, we'll have one more boxing video on the channel, just recapping Olympic boxing and people who I think would be pro standouts, if you will. That's going to go up on the channel probably tomorrow. And then I'll be done with the Olympic coverage, and then I'll hibernate for a while because it's doing a lot.
Been a long summer.
If you want women's basketball stuff, episode of Buckets, me and Joe Lalera did one on Action Network that's out now, just previewing the games, both gold medal and bronze medal games. The women finish up tomorrow, and that's actually the last event of the Olympics is women's basketball gold medal games. So it's going to be USA versus France again. Hope y'all appreciate all the coverage, and that's it. We are going to go be regular people now. So thank you for the support. Subscribe, comment.